sir.
This is Bureau. 2 times a week.
Everybody, can y'all do me a favor and put your cell phones on silent, please, before we forget?
Okay, let me know when you're set.
We should be up in a few minutes. They should be up in a few minutes.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mic check. 1, 2. Check. Check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Bye.
You guys good? Everybody got mic checks and everything?
I think so. No, they have it somewhere in the it's not. So punch it. So punch it. I've already done here.
No, porque vas a tener que, van a tener que hablar con la oficina y hacer una petición.
Okay, perfect.
Ya, como normalmente tiene que llamar a la oficina al número central y ellos
Really like
ya estoy trabajando en historias sobre
Okay.
otro, ¿quién me puede ayudar con la entrevista?
Perfecto. Le hago saber. Gracias, Rick. Yeah, he told us.
Okay, they are on their way up.
And I usually hide it.
Mine doesn't grow back.
All right, guys. Now I can come a little closer. I actually bathed this morning, so. Ready? Hey, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our partners from the Harris County Sheriff Office and also Crime Stopper who are in attendance. Now, there's one thing we are extremely proud of in this region, which is our strong relationship, our integration, and most importantly, our collaboration with our partners. The reason we're here today is to shed light on a pressing issue impacting many, many residents and businesses, which is infrastructure vandalism, also referred to as copper wire theft. In recent months, we have observed a concerning uptick in these incidents, which Detective Sergeant Bob Carson from our metal theft unit will discuss shortly. Now, criminals are boldly cutting and stealing wires crucial to our critical infrastructure and then selling copper for quick profits. Additionally, we have noted on occasion lines containing fiber optic cables which house delicate glass components are also being targeted. The consequences of such acts extend far beyond mere inconvenience, because a single cut can trigger widespread disruptions, impacting countless homes and businesses for extended periods. Some of y'all that experienced a hurricane can only imagine when there's power outage. Additionally, that same criminal act can also disrupt emergency services, preventing our residents from calling for help when they are most needed. Sergeant Carson will cite some examples, but I can only imagine when someone suffers a critical medical emergency and try to call 911 when the infrastructure is down and help is not going to be on their way to help them. Without further ado, I would like to invite Sergeant Carson from our metal theft unit to elaborate on how these incidents occur and how the public, most importantly, how the public can help. We'll hold on to all questions to the end. Sergeant Carson?
Thanks, sir.
Good morning. My name is Bob Carson. I'm a sergeant with the Metal Theft Unit in Property and Financial Crimes. I work for Commander Wynn and also Lieutenant Joe Garcia. Recently, there's been an increase in copper theft. We have suspects pulling the wire right down from the poles. We've had an incident where people have used a bucket truck. We've had an incident where they've just tied a strap to the wire and pulled it with their own vehicle. Shortly, you'll see a PSA, and in that PSA, there's a couple of videos that'll demonstrate what's happening. And on these cases, I want to talk about one in particular. It was a large cut in one location that affected a lot of people. It affected businesses, it affected hospitals, it affected the 911 system, it affected school districts, it also affected our citizens. As we know that since COVID, we have a lot more people working remotely, and they're working from home. People are teaching their children from home, and they need those online services. So those services have been disrupted, and it's really having a large impact. Now, on the Channel 13 did a case, showed a video on January 30th. And in that video, they showed 3 of our suspects. 2 of those suspects are in jail currently. All right, and it's because of the help of these. We have representatives from all the major service providers here in Houston. We have Comcast, AT&T, T-Mobile, and we formed, I call it an information sharing group, to where we can come together and share the information that's affecting their businesses, and it can get to us, and we can immediately start working on it. And it's because of that collaboration we were able to do this so quickly. Now, with that information, we've also shared. Harris County is also a part of that. Texas DPS is also a part of that, their regulatory services. So when we work together, we go out and we inspect scrapyards. We go out and we work on cases together. And it's a partnership that we're glad we have been able to form, and will continue to do so. But when I talk about these cases, we have seen a tremendous increase. And it's not just in Houston, it's not just in Harris County, it's statewide and it's nationwide. As you see, other agencies are starting to form metal theft units because it's impacting the infrastructure. It impacts the people's ability to call 911. It impacts the pharmacy to be able to log in and assign you a prescription or give you your prescription. So it's just not hitting one facet and one group or one group of citizens, it's affecting everyone. And at this rate, it could affect everyone altogether. So we want to stop that, try to mitigate it the best we can. So what we're asking is, when citizens see people out there working on the line, doing something on a telephone pole, and one of the main things is that these guys aren't in uniform. They're not they're not dressed to be working in a high voltage environment like those poles have. And we ask that you call us. We will come out and see if they're legitimately allowed to be on that line. We'll verify their work order. And if not, we will take appropriate action. So that's what we're asking for. Chief, I don't think I've missed anything. I think I would like to turn it over now to Harris County.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Good morning. I'm Assistant Chief Tommy Diaz with the Harris County Sheriff's Office. First, I just want to acknowledge everyone in the room, and specifically my partner Chief Ten here. He and I talk regularly about these incidents, and we are both involved in the monthly discussions we have with the collaboration that Sergeant Carson just spoke about. We meet regularly, not just to discuss, but also to come up with effective plans on how we can approach this problem. And I think it's important to remember we're talking about a property crime, but it's not a victimless crime. So there are cascading effects when these services are disrupted, whether it's water, communications, energy. People are affected, real people are affected in their homes. And like Sergeant Carson explained, it could be homework. Kids doing homework. How are they able to get on the internet, log in, and just kind of elevate themselves, right? And then how can these folks log in for work? A lot of people are working remotely now, and if people are disrupting that service, they can't log in. And so it disrupts not just people's lives, but industry, education, healthcare. And so we're really concerned about that, and that's really why this has been elevated from just hey, this is a property crime. Once we start seeing the effects and we talk to each other and we talk to our partners, we start recognizing all these cascading effects and things that are occurring. So I just want to acknowledge them, Sergeant Carson's work, his team. We too have a metal theft unit that we started in 2012. And the collaboration between both agencies is invaluable because criminals don't recognize jurisdictional boundaries. So they may be working a case, we may be working a case, and it may be the same individual. So that information sharing is invaluable. We recognize that also one of the things that affects copper theft is the price of copper. So we regularly monitor the cost of copper. It's a way for us to be ahead of the game and think, hey, are we going to see a spike in something as the copper prices increase, or like with catalytic converters, palladium increases? We monitor that just to ensure that we're aware of, hey, are we going to see anything? We share that information with each other and with our partners from the different services. So in unincorporated Harris County, we have a unit similar to Sergeant Carson's who just investigate metal theft and things like that. So thank y'all. I want to hand it over to Mr. Andy Kahn from Crime Stoppers, and he has a few words for us.
Chief, I'm going to make you the sign holder.
Absolutely. Be honored to.
I'm Andy Kahn, Director of Victim Services, Crime Stoppers of Houston. And again, I'd like to thank everybody for being here, and thank you for allowing us to participate. And like everybody has said, the public is our best eyes and ears out there. We're asking the public to step up to the plate and do the right thing and contact Crime Stoppers, and you can do it best anonymously at 713-222-TIPS. You can submit a tip online, www.crime-stoppers.org, or even use our mobile app in over 20 languages. And we are proud to say that we are now increasing our reward thanks to some anonymous, and we love that word anonymous, donation. Right now, we are offering anyone who contacts Crime Stoppers with a tip on anyone that is committing this type of crime, you will be available and you are basically offered an up to a $15,000 reward. So we are giving you up to $15,000 reasons to turn somebody in and send a message out there. And we know those that are out there, and this is what they do. They steal copper to make money. We're offering you another way to make money, and that is get these people off the street. And like everyone else has said right here, yeah, it's a property crime. We classify these as nonviolent crimes. Well, I think everybody would agree these are not victimless crimes. Everyone is a victim when somebody disrupts somebody's service, when they take property, and everyone is directly or indirectly affected by this type of crime. And it's time that we send a message out there that you are our eyes and ears out there. Step up to the plate, do the right thing, help us get these people off the street so that we can go about our daily lives without disruption. So again, once again, up to a $15,000 reward for any information leading up to the arrest of the suspect and or suspects responsible for this type of crime. Do your civic duty. We need your help. Thank you.
Go ahead and do it in Spanish. Buenos días, soy Mayor Saúl Suárez con el Departamento del Alguacil del Condado de Harris. Aquí estoy con mi equipo colaborando y queremos informar a la comunidad de la advertencia que hemos notado que hay más incidentes del robo de cobre. Entonces, en este momento estamos colaborando con el Departamento de Policía de Houston, también con otros departamentos del estado y también locales. Queremos pedirle a la comunidad, informarle que hemos notado más incidentes de robo de cobre y estos incidentes nos afectan a todos. También nos afecta a la gente que trabaja de casa, las farmacias, la manera en que comunicamos. Esto es algo muy significante aquí en el área y queremos decirles que si tú notas algo, si miras algo, pues, por favor, llámanos. El departamento de nosotros, el teléfono 713-221-6000. También tenemos colaboración del equipo local de Crime Stoppers. El número de ellos es 713-222-TIPS. Y ellos también están ofreciendo recompensas. Si ustedes notan a alguien, si saben a alguien que está cometiendo estos crímenes, sabemos que estos crímenes la mayoría del tiempo es crimen organizado. Entonces es organizaciones más sofisticadas y ocupamos su ayuda para poder identificar estas personas y también hacer justicia. Muchas gracias.
Yeah, at this time, we would like to take a few moments just to play the public safety video, and then we'll take questions afterward.
Recently, there's been a huge surge in the theft of telecommunications wire here in Houston and across the country.
Y'all feel it?
This wire is vital for your internet, cable, and telephone service. With these lines cut, entire neighborhoods have been inconvenienced and emergency warnings prevented from going out. I'm Sergeant Bob Carson from the Houston Police Department's Metal Theft Unit. Thieves are cutting the wire from the telephone poles, stripping it, and sometimes burning the insulation off. Then they sell the copper wire to metal scrapyards. It is against the law for a scrapyard to buy this wire without proper documentation detailing the ownership of the wire. And HPD will investigate any scrapyard suspected of breaking this law. Some thieves use a ladder and hand tools to cut the wire, while others dress up as power line workers and use a lift truck to commit these crimes. Not only is this theft, but it also affects your ability to use your internet or phone to call for help in case of an emergency. It can also cost service providers millions of dollars to repair, and it can hinder employees working remotely from doing their jobs. The Houston Police Department takes this crime very seriously and will thoroughly investigate the theft of communication wire. If you see someone pulling down telecommunications wire and they don't seem to be dressed in the right protective gear or uniform, call the police to report it. HPD will work to verify those individuals are authorized to be working in that area. Please do not approach these potential theft suspects and put yourself in danger. If you see something suspicious, say something. Call the police immediately. Your ability to reach the outside world and your personal safety could be at stake.
Well, at this time, we would like to open up the floor for questions. Any question there may be?
Do we have a number of cases that you are investigating regarding this
We probably have preliminary. We do have some numbers we can talk about, and I'll probably defer that to Sergeant Carson.
Yes, sir. In the last year, we've had 38 reported cases. Now, understand that, and I say reported, there's been more incidents. However, we're dealing with customer service organizations, and they're more concerned with getting the service back to their customer, and sometimes the report hasn't been put in. They've been reported internally, but not to us, and we get it much later. So what we've done is we've encouraged them on cases like that where, like you saw the truck video, to call the online number, at least get it in the system. And so now we're starting to see an increase in reporting. So that's where we're at on that.
So when you say within the last year, is that from February to February?
Yes, February to February.
Just kind of following up on that, anecdotally, when you say that the uptake, like what is leading to y'all believe there is an uptake? Is it more calls?
More calls that the service providers receive for repairs. We know that those wires just didn't fall off and disappear. So we know, the main thing is you dressed up today to come to work, and these crooks are dressing up the same way to do their work. And they're going out there and just taking it. And it's really affecting a lot of folks in the city.
Sir, do you believe it's the same group of people doing most of it? It doesn't seem like it's something that somebody would just go and do.
We've not found an organized group. We have several thieves that we work with, that we've arrested several times. And to give you an example, if you look at the first vehicle on that video, there was a green SUV. We believe that vehicle to belong to a criminal that committed another cut in January, later in January. So we believe they're doing it multiple times. There was we arrested one in November, and then in January, officers rearrested him after a car chase where he fled and put his truck in the bayou. So these are repeat customers that we're dealing with, without a doubt.
And did you get any cooperation from the copper vendors that are taking it in?
We work with them. We have inspectors, us along with the county, that inspect these scrap yards. And most of your legitimate scrap yards, they don't want the stain of that on their business. So they don't accept it. We found one unregistered illegal scrapyard. We worked with Harris County and with Texas DPS to get that scrapyard closed. It was closed that day. And that's how strong our relationships become in working with these groups.
You mentioned the one case that had a massive impact. You said schools were affected, 911 center was
Yes, sir.
affected. Was that shown in this video?
No, it was not.
Can you tell us more about that? What day did it happen to?
I mentioned it. Channel 13 did showed the video of the 3 suspects. That cut impacted so many people, and I can't get into the specifics. I know it was a large cut, but like I said, it affected medical facilities, kidney dialysis locations, everything. So 2 of those 3, based on that video and that story airing and our investigation, I have 6 investigators. So based on that, we worked on that along with Harris County and Texas DPS, their regulatory services. They assisted, and they were all in helping us. Based on that video that they showed, because it was a video from a different location, but they were in the same vehicle, we were able to identify those suspects.
Sorry, different kind of line of questioning. In light of the recent news, we've heard about cases being suspended within HPD, a lot of those being property crime cases. Are you aware of any cases in your unit, the mental theft unit?
So what I'm going to say to that is that's a question for the HPD leadership that I think they've set a time to
I will
address
take
those.
this, yeah. So
Okay.
just to be mindful, yeah, we're going to have a separate press conference to discuss it with high level specificity. But the key takeaway, I want to drive this home and drive this press conference home is the fact that, A, we have mentioned multiple times, this is not a victimless crime. And most importantly, it has a wide impact. Now, just be mindful too, so the timing is about everything too, right? We try to get that ahead of it. Just be mindful, in about the next 3 months or so, hurricane season is around the corner, and next thing you know, we have to rely on those communication platforms, and just imagine when someone just cut the wire and disrupt that. And I'm extremely, sympathetic to this particular cause because here's the reason why. I mean, I have elderly parents as well. I can only imagine they rely on those communication platforms to call for, to summon emergency services. Can you imagine the wires is cut? They won't get the service they need. Or those that 2020 significantly changed the war. A lot of folks have remote telework type, and then can you imagine the impact that the commerce too? At the end of the day, it is one of our critical infrastructure. That is our communication sector. And the media, this is why we need your help. This is why we were able to up the reward, and it's critical. It's critical meaning the fact that I'm confident that bad guys go out there and do bad things, but I know there are people that know something. At least they know people that know something. So I encourage that to get reported. Not to deviate from that, and just to circle back to the original question with the suspension case, we'll deal with that in a later press conference. But the takeaway is even we put priorities to this particular initiative, and as I mentioned earlier, the most important thing to us is the collaboration and the partnership and integration that we have here today. And task force, committees, communication sharing platform is nothing new. But this particular group that we have, with just our law enforcement, our regulatory, and also our private partners, this is something new. We want to put the focus in the forefront. We want to impact those changes to reduce, if not mitigate, those simple wire cutting. Now, to the bad guys, they may just simply cut a wire, make a few bucks down the road. But you can only imagine the wide impact it has, as Sergeant Carson just mentioned, the medical facility, the 911 service, the school. I can go on and on and on. To a large degree, even the media, right? If I could interrupt you guys, basically create an obstacle for y'all to push news in a timely manner. So with that said, we need your help. We need you to put the message out, and we need you to put the message in the forefront, and just to let everybody know, at least everyone in this region know, that this is important to us, and this is going to be one of our priorities.
You mentioned, I think in the first instance, that these suspects sometimes have done this multiple times. As far as like penalties, what can be done to kind of deter these repeat?
So, hey, that's a great question. We, as a group, as a committee, we have discussed in depth. The way we can adjudicate and fix some of the problem is, as is mentioned earlier by Sergeant Carson, even to a large degree, Chief Diaz, I'm going to use the catalytic converter example. There has to be legislation in place, a new legislation to make, I guess, it's all about reward and benefits and punishment, right? We have to elevate and raise the level to ensure that that particular crime is no longer attractive anymore. But there's more to follow. That's going to be a future initiative. We have to take it to legislation. Great question, though. Thank you.
Chief, if we can show the Spanish PSA as well.
Absolutely.
Recientemente se ha reportado un incremento de robo de alambre de telecomunicaciones aquí en Houston y alrededor del país.
¿Estás robando?
No estamos robando.
Este alambre es vital para su servicio de internet, teléfono y cable. Al cortar estos alambres, vecindades enteras se encuentran sin servicio o manera de recibir alertas de emergencia. Soy oficial C del Departamento de Policía de Houston. Ladrones están cortando y pelando alambres de postes de teléfono y a veces hasta quemando la insulación para luego vender el cobre a negocios de chatarra. Es en contra de la ley que negocios de chatarra compren alambre en estas condiciones. La policía de Houston investigará cualquier negocio que viola esta ley. Algunos ladrones utilizan solo una escalera y herramientas para cortar el alambre, mientras otros se hacen pasar como empleados de utilidades públicas para cometer estos crímenes. No es solamente un robo, pero también puede afectar el uso de internet o hasta usar el teléfono para hacer llamadas de emergencia. También puede costar a los proveedores de servicio millones de dólares en reparaciones y puede afectar a personas trabajando de sus hogares. El Departamento de Policía de Houston toma estos casos muy en serio y investigará estos casos muy a fondo. Si usted ve a alguien cortando alambre de telecomunicaciones y no aparentan tener el vestuario apropiado para este trabajo, repórtalo inmediatamente a la policía. HPD trabajará para verificar si esas personas están autorizadas para trabajar en el área. Por favor, no se acerque a posibles sospechosos, ya que se expone usted a peligro. Si nota algo sospechoso, llame a la policía. Podría existir un riesgo para sus métodos de comunicación y seguridad personal.
Any other questions?
Mr. Carson, can we just learn, when did HPD start the metal theft unit?
I'm sorry, say that again?
When did HPD start your unit?
2008, I believe, is when it started.
But it's more importantly, the group needed to know when this task force that we have, or the collaboration, the partnership, we have our private, partners, probably started roughly like a year ago, correct?
Right.
That is the key takeaway. I mean, with the amount of information that we share now, with the amount of information, my apologies. With the amount of information we share now, it just we just take like investigation almost to the forefront. Like more often, it's the communication gap. That's why I cause some of those delay in investigation. But we bridge that gap by having those regular meetings on the monthly meetings, and that's huge. But the most important thing too, I do want to mention, I do want to drive this home. Despite the best technology, camera system, whatever that may be, human intelligence is always going to be the best intelligence. So if you see something, please say something, call in. And if you see something suspicious to be perhaps maybe leading to wire cutting, please call in and let us know. It's like anything else, prevention is always key.
Is this happening more in rural areas, or are they going metropolitan areas?
So I don't have the metrics in front of me to gauge that. This is why we don't just bring in the county. We bring in our local law enforcement partners. We also bring in the state, and we also have our federal partners involved in this initiative as well. It's all inclusive and all comprehensive. I can only imagine it probably impact other parts of the country as well, right? But the truth is we're gonna try to focus in here, and we try to expand that. As I mentioned earlier, the key is to, at some point in the near future, with our partners, law enforcement, and the private sector, to take that to legislation and increase the penalty.
When service providers reach out to y'all, I guess with the suspicion that a wire was cut or taken down, I mean, do they call you knowing, or do they say, hey, service is down somewhere, and then investigation leads you to understand that a wire was cut?
So both are true. They do have the technology to track whether the grid, the energy didn't flow through or whatever that may be. Also, because there's ongoing meetings, those regular meetings that we do have, we shake hands, drink coffee, and share numbers. So when they do get those information, they share to us immediately. Now, to your point earlier, does it happen in different part of the region? There are times when it happens in different part of the region that perhaps not within respective Harris County or Houston PD AOR areas of responsibility, but because we share those information, we flood it out, safe to assume that criminals has no border, right? So I mean, they may conduct their crime somewhere else or the crime spree somewhere else, but I do want to emphasize that communication platform has been extremely beneficial to us in this region. But great question, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for the interview. But please, please, please push that message out and ensure that the 2.9 plus million residents in this area know about this, watch the video, and to help us out to mitigate some of those problems we have. Thank you.